The Bound for Glory pay-per-view, scheduled for April 4th, has once again been postponed. Multiple sources report that the company decided to push the show back because they simply ran out of time to adequately promote the show. Another problem is said to be that the company has yet to sign some of the people they projected as main event players to actual contracts, which made promoting the show virtually impossible. So a reminder, last month they were looking to get Randy Savage. They were also, we'll talk about it later this show when we're talking about the actual stuff in the shows, they were trying to get China to do a match with Johnny Fairplay.
I mean, I'm into that.
Or Trinity. And neither of those worked out. Last week, the In Demand website began listing the April 4th TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view on its schedule, including Randy Savage and China mentioned in the description, by the way. So the date was more than just a tentative date for the show. It was an all-out plan that just didn't come together as they'd hoped. It was still posted on the website as of February 17th on the In Demand website, not the TNA website. Meanwhile, the Kentucky military base that was said to be the leading candidate to house the TNA pay-per-view is not the only site being considered. In fact, the Wrestling Observer reported that that military base actually turned down the show, which might have been a big reason it was cancelled.
Yeah, not having a venue, it seems like a bit of a hurdle.
Yeah, generally, you can't invite people to a place to watch something if you don't have a place to watch something.
Okay, well, we'll have to note that down.
This is one of those promotional tips they teach you in promotional school. They're like, have a venue for people to go to.
Yeah, day one of business school is have a place.
Except if you're an online business, then you don't even need a place.
Oh, you could host it in the metaverse.
God. We were talking about this before we went on air about how
Garrett just keeps talking about the metaverse. I don't understand it. All he wants to talk about is the metaverse.
But we were talking about how WWE are eventually going to become a metaverse company that present like Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant in the metaverse, and I'm just like, oh, there's nothing I would like less in the world.
God, it's gonna be so sick. Yeah, we're a couple of tech bros on this podcast. We're here to talk about the metaverse and NFTs.
No. No.
It's all part of that Sigma grind set I've been referring to.
Yes. There are some within TNA who feel that there would be so much red tape involved with holding a show at the military base that it wouldn't be worth the trouble, which is probably code for we couldn't get the military base and we're trying to come up with an excuse for why we're not doing it. Although delaying the event again may give the company enough time to work through those issues, there is some consideration being given to a small 5,000 seat venue in the southeastern part of the country.
5,000 seaters are my favorite.
I thought you hate small buildings. You always give out when AEW runs a small building.
I don't consider 5,000. Like, it really depends on the optics, I suppose. If it looks small, I don't like it, but I like that amount of people because I think it's what you can. It's an achievable reach for like a weekly product. But the problem is, apparently, there's not a lot of those kind of sized venues around.
America's a very strange country in which they have like 50,000 seater buildings in every small city. But they don't have many like mid-range venues because they have a bunch of college football teams and college sports teams that have these giant sports complexes.
That's why they're always like, all these AEW shows are all on campuses.
They're all going to colleges because, again, all of their colleges have gigantic stadiums.
Yeah, that's very impressive. My college has a reasonable little like basketball thing.
Mine had the Mardyke Arena, which isn't that big. I don't know how many people can actually go to a game there.
Yeah, mine's just, I don't know, it's just like a regular sort of one that has like 2 courts on it. That's about it.
Yeah, I think it's just a regular sporting complex. It's like a gym, an all-weather pitch, and some
like a big
court.
gym. There's like a little cafe thing attached to it. That's about it.
I think most normal colleges have that instead of like 50,000 seater stadiums.
It feels like if I lived on like that campus, all you'd want to do is like fuck around in that building after hours, right?
You just go to the giant stadium and run up the steps and steal a chair.
Hang out under the bleachers. Oh, maybe that's why all of these American college-based television shows are always like, let's go to the bleachers. Because it's just inherently inviting.
So you can hang out there?
Yeah. My biggest note is like, I really feel like this constant delaying of Bound for Glory kind of isn't helping the product. Because I think a lot of stories feel like they keep having to be ran on. Even if the plan isn't to like pay them off at this specifically, it just feels like there's no end point for anything. And then things just tend to peter out instead of having a hard end. So I think not having this kind of big pay-per-view blow-off at any point is kind of harming the product a little bit.
And it's interesting, by the time they get to doing their first pay-per-view, it doesn't even end up being Bound for Glory.
I like that they always wanted to do Bound for Glory, though.
People always ask, why is Bound for Glory the biggest show of the year? Here's why.
Because they wanted to do it for like 3 years before they even could do anything.
Yeah, it took them like... So they started planning Bound for Glory in October 2003, and they did the first one in October 2005. So yeah, literally 2 years building to the first Bound for Glory.
Ironically, though, not even the one that they first thought of, because they had Genesis first.
Yeah, that was for the special. That ended up being one of the early pay-per-views as well.
TNA has good pay-per-view names.
Victory Road and Turning Point and Genesis and Against All Odds and Unbreakable.
Final Resolution.
No Surrender.
Yeah, it's very like that 2010s, late 2000s, but it suits it.
Yeah, Sacrifice.
Sacrifice like sounds like something that WWE should have got to first.
Especially during the My Sacrifice era. It's right there.
That feels like between Backlash and No Mercy, you'd have Sacrifice.